Welcome from Doe Campbell Stadium, where the Gold team pulled off a stunning 27-21 victory. Not really stunning. They had James Blackman at quarterback and a lot of really good players on defense. 27-21 victory over the Garnet. We're coming to you from inside the Moore Athletic Center because Hammer is on the stage performing right now out of the main field.
I'm not sure the stadium right now would be any louder than it is in here, but hey, we're doing the best we can, folks.
It was the annual spring game, a little bit different than last year, different vibe from last year. Instead of 60,000 fans, or I guess the announced crowd was about 27,000 fans. 27,000 fans. It was probably a little bit less than that. But I think from a standpoint of the play on the field, it was also different. You felt like the play was better on the field. Why don't you give people your take?
Thanks, buddy. That was a good lead-in. Yes, I thought it was a lot better. I mean, I think we remember last year fondly because of the Taggart lap around the stadium, and Tamori Terry had a big day, and Kalen LeBourne's long run. But by and large, the offense was really not like James Blackman kind of struggled last year in the spring game. I think Bailey Hockman had as good a day as he did, and I think this year it was a lot quicker. The pace was a lot quicker. Jordan Travis, I thought, played well. Now, again, he's going up against freshman safeties. The middle of the field was wide open the whole day for him, but he took advantage of it. It made throws. But overall, I just thought you saw the big plays, you saw the tempo, and you're reminded, oh, yeah, these guys have some, especially on the offense, they have some skilled players that can really play. I mean, Helton's a really good player. We all know about Terry. Thought LeBourne looked good, or Laburn, I should say Laburn. And the time he was there, I just thought it was a really good display offensively.
Yeah, early on, it did feel like it was a lot of familiar faces. Tamarian Terry runs deep, catches a 50-yard touchdown pass. Laborn and Cam Akers had some nice plays running the ball. Some familiar faces at the receiver corps really across the board. DJ Matthews played really well. But then there were also a lot of new faces that stepped up and guys we haven't really seen as much of. Warren Thompson, a redshirt freshman receiver, a guy that didn't play last year. An 80-yard touchdown pass. It was a weird play. I think it was busted coverage or defensive back fell down.
He showed he could move, though.
But he showed he could run, Nobody ran him down. And then also on the defensive side of the ball, we saw some of these early enrollees. I think Akeem Dent was really impressive. Jaleel McCray, the linebacker we've been hearing so much about, was around the ball a lot. Raymond Woody, another freshman defensive back, I thought played well. It was kind of it was an opportunity for a lot of different guys to take up moments. It was kind of there was a lot of stopping and going in terms of big plays, right. but there were a lot of big plays.
Yeah, and I thought on defense, I did think Dent and McCray really stood out. McCray really could have had 2 interceptions. Definitely should have had 1. He just let it get through his hands. That was James Blackman's worst throw of the day. It was I guess you'd say it was a post to Terry where Terry had nobody behind him. All he has to do is loft it over the linebacker. It's a touchdown. And McCray got really deep in his coverage and made a break on the ball, just dropped it. Other than that, though, I thought McCray played really well. And as they said all through spring, he's always in the right spot. He was in the right spot there. He just didn't make the play. And also the quarterback didn't make a great throw. But other than that, I thought James Blackman played well. And I just think overall, when you look at the overall spring game, last year, again, there was a lot of sizzle, but not a lot of steak. You know what I'm saying, Ira? There's a lot of sizzle, a lot of pizzazz. The whole thing was 60,000 fans, and everybody loved Willie Taggart at that time, obviously. I thought there was a lot more substance to this one. I thought you looked and saw, was there one procedure penalty? Yeah. And it was on a freshman. It was on Dante Lucas. I don't know that any receivers lined up off sides. I just got the vibe, nothing against the guys that were here before. I got the vibe that they're better coached. They look better coached. They look more organized. They got in and out of plays really quickly, even with Jordan Travis doing it really quickly. They did some things schematically to take advantage of the situation down and distance. They did pretty well on third down overall. And again, it's a mishmash of players. We get it. It's not like number 1 versus number 2, offense versus defense or anything. But still, I just thought by and large you saw a lot of things to take away that you liked. Yeah, they didn't get any punts blocked.
Well, that was a big part of it because they were coming after him.
Really were.
I think the only thing that you come away from feeling a little bit empty on, I think, is in terms of the running game. Not that Akers or Laborn played poorly, but they didn't run it very much.
Right.
And then also the offensive line, because of you're splitting up your top 5, and then Cole Minshew was out, Landon Dickerson was out. You didn't have the kid who's transferring in from Northern Illinois, so they're going to have a lot more options on the offensive line in the preseason.
But they weren't overwhelmed.
It's not like
they
were it's not like they were bad. I just felt like you didn't get a chance to see much of it.
I did think on both the Cam Akers touchdowns, those were up the middle, up the gut runs, and there were holes, and especially in the second half when there wasn't a lot of tackling wasn't supposed to be allowed. I'm not sure what was going on there. Because there were tackles, even though they weren't supposed to be. Maybe I did think there were holes in the middle. And I think the running backs did. Laborn made some. I'm really having a hard time not calling him LeBourne.
Why can't we call him LeBourne?
Because Aslan asked them, and it's pronounced Laborn. So it's
when did you start caring about how people want their names pronounced?
That's a good point. So Laborn, I thought he made some nice cuts. You could tell he wasn't 100%, but I thought he looked good, and Akers did too, and Grant did too. I think there's a chance. You watch and you say, okay, there's a chance they could be a decent running team if the offensive line can play. And I thought the offensive line was, for the most part, again, the quarterbacks weren't running for their lives, and there were holes. Now, they weren't blocking Marvin Wilson, but who will?
As far as the competition factor, one thing Willie talked about all spring was wanting to see more competition. I like the fact that you brought it up in the press conference, and I was going to bring it up as well. The fact that at the end of the spring game, James Blackman was still campaigning for a call. He wanted a penalty that they picked up the flag.
Right.
There was a couple instances earlier in the game where guys that looked like defensive players had made plays in the backfield, and the referees didn't call it. You could tell they were mad. They wanted their sacks. They wanted their tackles for loss. So I thought the competition overall was pretty good. And then one guy that Willie talked about really glowingly after the game was DJ Matthews, who we're going to write about. A lot of these things we'll be writing about on the site at warchant.com. But DJ Matthews, for certain, is a guy that I thought was going to have a big year last year in this offense. I thought he was a perfect fit for kind of a hurry-up, no-huddle type of offense. I thought he was a better fit for that than what he was at Jimbo. But it didn't materialize. And he spoke a lot about how he was not a good teammate. He was not a good student last year. He just didn't have his head on straight, and he's really changed things around. And Willie said he might be the MVP or most improved player this spring, and we saw some signs of what he can do today.
Yeah, and he's Blackman's roommate, so you got to imagine there's some sort of connection there. But yeah, man, in these kind of offenses, obviously you need the slot guy that's going to catch 70 or 80 balls. I mean, you just have to. The guy that gets first downs, he's that guy, but he's more because he can make plays after he makes the catch. I think Helton is that guy too. I mean, I think they got a couple of guys, and obviously we know what 15 can do. You still need a couple more guys to separate themselves, whether it's a Gavin again or whether it's one of these newcomers, a Warren Thompson. You got to have a couple of the receivers step up. But overall, man, you really got to like what you got in those two guys, right? As the little, water bug slot receivers. That's what I like to call them, the water bugs.
It's nice. They may actually go with that, the official on the depth chart.
Yeah.
This is the water bug
position right next to the split
end.
And
the flanker in the split end. So now sounds like you got them at about 10 or 11 wins now coming out of the spring.
I don't see how they don't win 10. It's going to be, it's going to be tough in Death Valley. We get it. But if you get some breaks, you never know. Gotcha. And if Trevor Lawrence might decide to play basketball.
All right, we're going to sign off here from Doak Campbell Stadium, where the Gold picks up the 27-21 victory.
Huge win, and you had the spread at 6.5.
6.5,
right?
so they didn't cover.
No,
it's a moral victory for the Garnet.
Sure.
And you get to cash in your tickets if you have the Garnet today. Anyway, signing off for Aslan, Corey, Ira, Gene, the intern Austin, Brady,
my son Brady
the whole
was
posse,
here. We're all here. Warchant
and
in the
Hammer,
house.
And Hammer, and Color Me
Tone
Bad.
Loke. Don't forget Tone.
Peace.